Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hana Haika Humaira. I'm from TBIB and now I want to explain about speech function, politeness, and cross-cultural communication. The first is the functions of speech. There are a number of ways of categorizing the functions of speech. The following list has provided a usable one in sociolinguistic research. The first is appressive, expressive utterances express the speaker's feelings. Example, I'm feeling great today. Jadi, yang pertama itu ucapan ekspresif mengungkapkan perasaan pembicara. Misalnya, saya merasa baik hari ini. Number second is directive. Utterance attempt to get someone to do something. Example, clear the table. Yaitu ucapan petunjuk berusaha membuat seseorang melakukan sesuatu. Contohnya membersihkan meja. The third is referential. Utterances provide information. Example, at the third stroke it will be 3 o'clock precisely. Yang nomor 3 ini ucapan referensial, memberikan informasi. Misalnya, pada pukul ketiga akan menunjukkan pukul 3 tepatnya. The fourth, metalinguistic. Utterance comment on language itself, yaitu ucapan metalinguistik, mengomentari bahasa itu sendiri. Misalnya, hegemoni bukanlah hal yang umum. Kata yang umum. Terus number 5 is poetic. Utterances focus on aesthetic features of language. Example, a poem, an ear-catching motto, a rhyme. Seperti Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. And the last is pathetic. Utterances express solidarity and empathy with others. Example, hi, how are you? Lovely day, isn't it? Yaitu ucapan pathetic, mengungkapkan solidaritas dan empati dengan orang lain. Misalnya, hai, apa kabar? Hari yang indah, bukan? And then the next, directives. Directives are concerned with getting people to do things. The speech which express directive force vary in strength. We can attempt to get people to sit down, for instance, by suggesting or inviting them to do so, or by ordering or commanding them to sit down. Orders and commands are speech acts which are generally expressed in imperative form. Polite attempts to get people to do something in English tend to use interrogative or declarative. Jadi, direktif itu berkaitan dengan membuat orang melakukan sesuatu. Tindak tutur yang mengekspresikan kekuatan direktif bervariasi dalam kekuatan. Kita dapat mencoba membuat orang duduk misalnya dengan menyarankan atau mengundang mereka untuk melakukannya dengan cara memerintahkan untuk duduk. Contohnya, bisakah kamu duduk? Anda akan duduk? Tidak akan Anda duduk? Seperti itu. Jadi direktif itu perintah. And then next is politeness and address forms. This exchange between two Israelis seems very direct and blunt to most English speakers. Being polite is a complicated business in any language. It is difficult to learn because it involves understanding not just the language, but also the social and cultural values of the community. We often don't appreciate just how complicated it is, because we tend to think of politeness mainly as a matter of saying please and thank you in the right places. In fact, It involves a great deal more than the superficial politeness routines that parents explicitly teach their children, as the discussion of directives and expressives above suggested. Jadi, contohnya ada pada Israel passenger and driver on an intercity bus. Di sini penutur itu bersikap sopan dan pemahamannya bukan hanya bahasanya, tetapi juga nilai-nilai sosial dan budaya masyarakat. Kita apabila meminta sesuatu kepada orang lain, sebaiknya itu menggunakan please, itu agar sopan, tolong gitu. Ketika kita sudah ditolong oleh orang lain tersebut, kita sebaiknya mengatakan terima kasih untuk yang lebih sopan. Being polite may also involve the dimension of formality. In a formal situation, the appropriate way of talking to your brother will depend on your roles in the context. Being polite means getting the linguistic expression of social distance right as far as your address is concerned. This is very variable from one speech community. And the next is linguistic politeness in different cultures. Christina encountered a cross-cultural communication problem on returning to her own native culture. The potential areas of misunderstanding are even greater when we venture into new cultures. Anyone who has traveled outside their own speech community is likely to have had some experience of miscommunication based on cultural difference. Often these relate to different assumptions deriving from different normal environments. Learning another language usually involves a great deal more than learning the literal meaning of the words. How to put them together and how to pronounce them. We need to know what they mean in the cultural context in which they are normally used, and that involves some understanding of the cultural and social norms of their users. Pada contohnya, Christina mengalami masalah komunikasi lintas budaya saat kembali ke budaya asalnya sendiri. Area potensi kesalahpahaman bahkan lebih besar ketika kita menjelajah ke budaya baru. Siapapun yang berpergian keluar komunitas tuturnya sendiri kemungkinan besar pernah mengalami miskomunikasi karena perbedaan budaya. Seringkali ini berhubungan dengan asumsi berbeda yang berasal dari lingkungan normal yang berbeda. Contohnya, seorang pelajar Thailand yang berada di Inggris melaporkan tidak dapat memahami apa maksud seseorang yang berada di rumah ketika dia bertanya pada hari apa Anda ingin mandi. Jadi mempelajari bahasa lain itu biasanya melibatkan lebih dari sekedar mempelajari arti literal dari kata-kata tersebut. Itu melibatkan beberapa pemahaman tentang norma budaya dan sosial penggunaannya. And the next, greetings. In different cultures, each of these questions is perfectly acceptable as part of a normal greeting routine. They are formulas and the expected answer is ritualistic, just as a detailed blow-by-blow description of the state of your cold would be unexpected and inappropriate in response to how are you. So, the Southeast Asian questioner does not expect a minute and specific account of your intended journey and destination, just as fine is enough of an answer to the first question. Greeting formulas universally serve an effective function of establishing non-threatening contact and rapport, but their precise content is clearly culture-specific. Jadi, dalam budaya yang berbeda, masing-masing pertanyaan ini dapat diterima sebagai bagian dari rutinitas sapaan yang normal. Contohnya biasanya kita kan kalau memulai pelajaran atau kita bertemu seseorang di jalan, begitu, kita menggunakan how are you, gitu. Nah, apabila di Southeast Asian, pertanyaan how are you ini cukup dijawab dengan fine. Itu tuh menandakan bahwa dia tuh sedang baik dan sedang tidak ada masalah. Seperti itu. And then enough explanation for me. Apabila ada kata yang salah, mohon maaf. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.